Hi, today I'm going to talk about the books that I read during the Tome Topple. So Tome Topple is a readathon that I think went from the 17th of December until the 13th of November. Now I'm just making up numbers. The Tome Topple went from the 17th to the 30th of November. That's right. So like 2 weeks. It's a longer readathon because the main purpose is to get you reading larger books. So during this Tome Topple, I read 3 things, although one of the things is made up of 5 things and kind of doesn't count. Oh, mysteries. But even though those things are cheating, I'm kind of going to count them anyway. In total, I read 2,131 pages during the Tome Topple, which is interesting because it's slightly less pages than the last time I did the Tome Topple. And the last Tome Topple, I was working full time. So it's kind of weird that now I'm on holiday and yet somehow I seem to be doing less reading. Not sure that I'm doing this holiday thing right. Need to work harder. Work harder at holidaying. Anyway, let's talk about the things that I did read. So the first book that I read is The Chemist by Stephanie Meyer. So this is her adult thriller book, and I'm counting this towards the challenge of reading an adult tome. Alright, so this book, let's talk about it. Essentially, this book is The Host, written as a thriller. Instead of aliens, you've got government conspiracy stuff. So high level. In The Host, you've got Wanderer, who is kind of morally dubious in that she's taken over the body of a human. In this one, we've got, it's hard to decide what to call her. Let's call her Alex, who has been a torturer. We also have 2 brothers, one who's nice and one who's angry. That's true in The Host. It's also true in this one. And the nice brother, of course, is able to overlook all of her bad side. So pretty much as soon as I got to the part of the brothers in this book, I was like, oh, it's The Host. So that was a bit annoying. I guess I actually really liked this book. The setup was really interesting, and when there was action, it was really good, up until we got to the romance. The romance is completely unrealistic, pretty much the same romance as you get in The Host. So much of this book was just wasted on romance. This is meant to be a thriller. I didn't want to read a romance. I don't like romances. And I guess when I say that it's like The Host, that might make you think that if you liked The Host, you will like this book. But I liked The Host. But reading it again as a government conspiracy-based thriller, I really would have just rather reread The Host, to be honest. I much prefer aliens to government conspiracies. The other thing that was weird about this book is the main character's name. So it kind of in the beginning starts this thing where every chapter she takes on a new name as part of kind of hiding away from the people that she thinks wants to kill her. And I really liked that, but I thought it really, to pull it off, it really needed to be hit a lot stronger. And it wasn't very far in the book before she kind of stuck on a particular name. But before that, I ended up just getting confused because whenever she'd refer to herself by the name that she was currently going by, I'd be like, who? Because it wasn't really, the concept was cool, but it just didn't really, the book didn't really pull it off, in my opinion. So I gave this book 3 stars, although I have to be honest, I'm edging towards changing it towards a 2. I think maybe that was a bit charitable of me. Maybe a 2.5. Would I recommend it? If you like unrealistic romances with a little bit of thriller on the side, then maybe you'd like it. Okay, so then next I also listened to an audiobook throughout the period of the Tome Topple, and that was The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. I've read this before in physical book, so I was rereading it with the audiobook. I really think that I'm currently reading another audiobook, and I think the audiobooks are only good for rereads. That's the idea that I'm coming to. So I did enjoy reading this. It is very long and there's quite a lot of different things that happen. I really feel like it would have been better for this to have been broken up into 2 or 3 books. Although obviously the whole construction of this series is that Quoth is telling his own story over 3 days, and each book is a day of the story he's told. So that kind of forces this to all have to be one book. I cannot imagine, with all the things that need to happen in the 3rd book, how it's going to fit into a book even this big. Although apparently Patrick Rothfuss said that it was going to be a shorter book, so I guess we'll see. So I only gave this 4 stars. It was mainly just the fact that it went on and on so much. I feel like maybe some bits could have been cut down or it could have been separated. Otherwise it would have been a 5 stars, but it didn't quite make it. One thing I did notice, because I think this is only the 2nd time that I've read this, I picked up on a lot more, like I have a lot more theories about what is going on after reading it the 2nd time. And now I am so much more eager for the 3rd book to find out if those theories are true. I spent a whole day pretty much Googling other people's theories and seeing how other people think the same thing as me. So hopefully that'll come out. No, I've resigned myself to waiting till 2020. Oh yeah, so this book covered the challenge reading a book was part of a series, and also with the Chemist reading 2 tomes. Then I read some graphic novels, and this is the one that's kind of cheating because you're only supposed to read bind-ups, but instead I read these ones, which are not really. Basically, I was planning to read Buffy season 10. 10? Am I up to 10? I think so. But I was first needed to read all the extras from season 9 because I've read Buffy season 9 during the last Tome Topple, but I wanted to go back and read all the Angel and Faith and the Willow and the Spike books from that period that I kind of skipped over. So I ended up doing most of that during this Tome Topple. I was doing Angel and Faith 3, 4, and 5, and then Willow in Wonderland and Spike at Ark Place. In total, these came to 620 pages, so if they had all been wrapped up into a single volume, they would have counted. I still think it's in the spirit of the readathon, which is that it's getting me to read a whole bunch of things that I was kind of intimidated to read, and that if it wasn't for the readathon, I would have read over a long period of time rather than reading it as one big lot, which, as I said before, I think with these comics, reading them in one big lot, you tend to follow the story a bit better and it's a much better experience, so I like that encouragement. For the Angel and Faith books, there were some really good twists actually in this, which I wasn't really expecting. I was kind of just thinking of these as like, you know, when authors put out like the little side books and they don't really add anything to the plot, but because you're really invested in the characters, you kind of enjoy it anyway. That's pretty much all I was expecting from any of these, but this one actually has quite some good relationship development and some really good twists, including a plot point that's pretty important for the whole series, I believe. Then, actually one of my favourite one was probably Spike. I'm totally Team Spike. In this one, he is travelling around in a spaceship manned by bugs. Maybe I'll try and find a picture of the bugs for you. Look, here's some bugs on the spaceship. And honestly, the bugs are hilarious, and it's, even though it's Spike, a dark place, this is a very light and funny read, and I really enjoyed it. It was not what I was expecting, but I really enjoyed it. And then Willow in Wonderland, I really liked Willow's hair in this. Where's a good picture? Maybe this is the best picture to look at. I really liked her hair in this series. What did I think of this one? The art was slightly different in this one. I'm not sure if maybe it was a different artist. I thought it was quite an interesting story, how it all tied together. I really liked the Super Coven. They were pretty badass. And I I really liked the ending, and it did make me quite intrigued to see what impact this one and where Willow ends up will have on Buffy season 10, which I'll hopefully read by the end of the year. So that was my Tome Topple wrap up. I'd love to hear how your Tome Topple went, or if you've read any of the books that I just talked about. I'd love to discuss them with you down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.